It's kooky, and it seems like they're just leaning into it. Like there's no course correction at all. Just leaning into the kooky.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Oh, yeah.
For comedy.
And they're essentially saying that it's a money grab. And they're also going to countersue for millions of dollars, $5 million.
Imagine waking up to what seems like an ordinary day only to find your name, or in this case, your spouse's name, splashed across headlines in the most jaw-dropping way possible. That's exactly what Sunny Hostin, co-host of The View, is dealing with right now. Her husband, Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, an accomplished orthopedic surgeon with decades of experience, has been named in what some are calling one of the largest legal scandals in New York in recent memory. And if you thought this was just another routine lawsuit, think again. This isn't just a legal hiccup. It's an explosive saga involving allegations of insurance fraud, shady financial dealings, and a massive web of defendants. But hold on, we're just getting started. Let's break this all down step by step, because the deeper we dig, the wilder it gets.
According to the documents, he knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgeries.
So here's the setup. Dr. Manny Hostin, Sunny's husband of over 2 decades, has been accused of being part of a vast network allegedly engaging in fraudulent medical practices. And we're not talking about minor accusations here. This is a full-blown legal bombshell tied to the Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, or RICO for short. Yes, the same statute originally designed to take down notorious organized crime syndicates is now being wielded against a group of medical professionals, and Dr. Hostin's name is right there on the list. The lawsuit alleges that he and nearly 200 other defendants participated in a scheme involving unnecessary surgeries, fraudulent billing practices, and kickbacks disguised as legitimate payments. You heard that right. This isn't just about 1 or 2 sketchy invoices. This is reportedly a sprawling operation that's left insurance companies reeling.
RICO case ever filed in the state of New York. You guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia.
Now, let's talk specifics. According to the lawsuit filed by American Transit, a New York-based insurance company that primarily covers rideshare drivers like those working for Uber and Lyft, Dr. Hostin is accused of performing or recommending unnecessary arthroscopic surgeries. These are minimally invasive procedures often used to treat joint issues like knee or shoulder pain. On the surface, they sound routine enough, right? But here's where it gets murky. The lawsuit claims that many of these surgeries weren't medically necessary at all. Instead, they were allegedly performed to rack up massive bills that were then sent to insurance companies for reimbursement. And as if that weren't enough, the suit goes on to allege that Dr. Hostin and others received kickbacks in exchange for their participation in this scheme. These so-called kickbacks were allegedly disguised as dividends or other forms of compensation, making the whole setup look legitimate on paper.
Taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers, he was performing unnecessary surgeries and then providing fraudulent medical services in exchange for the kickbacks. Here's a clip.
If true, these allegations paint a very dark picture of the healthcare system. Imagine trusting a doctor only to find out later that your procedure might not have been necessary at all. It's the kind of betrayal that shakes people's faith in the entire medical profession. And let's not even get started on the financial side of things. The insurance claims alone reportedly amount to hundreds of millions. With the RICO statute in play, those damages could potentially triple, meaning we're looking at a legal battle involving staggering sums of money. And while American Transit claims they're the victims of an elaborate fraud, some are questioning their own motives. After all, this is a company that's been accused of questionable practices in the past, including delaying or denying legitimate claims. Could this lawsuit also be a desperate attempt to shift blame and cover up their own financial struggles? That's a question that's sure to come up as this case unfolds.
Of Sunny Hostin on The View, Tom, basically implicating her husband in this type of a scheme.
But let's zoom out for a moment, because this isn't just about Dr. Hostin. He's one name on a list of nearly 200 defendants, including other doctors, medical practices, and even hospitals. The scale of this case is mind-boggling. It's being described as one of the largest RICO cases ever filed in New York, which is saying something given the state's history of high-profile legal battles. And while some defendants are already scrambling to clear their names, others are reportedly preparing to fight the allegations tooth and nail. This isn't just a legal battle. It's a full-blown war with potentially career-ending consequences for those involved.
But it's just, I mean, Pat, you're married. Tom, you're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to.
Now, let's bring Sunny Hostin into the picture. For years, Sunny has been known for her sharp commentary on The View, where she's never been shy about voicing her opinions on everything from politics to social justice. But now, the spotlight is turning inward, and people are starting to ask tough questions about her connection to the scandal. Did she know about the allegations against her husband? Could her public statements on healthcare and systemic issues come back to haunt her? It's a messy situation, to say the least, and one that's already generating plenty of buzz online. Clips of Sunny discussing healthcare on The View have resurfaced, with critics accusing her of hypocrisy given the allegations against her husband. For example, in one segment, she spoke passionately about the challenges doctors face in a broken healthcare system, even mentioning how her husband sometimes has to fight insurance companies to get paid for his work. In hindsight, those comments are being scrutinized in a whole new light.
Some nefarious stuff. Let's just not forget who she is. She's been, for years, lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures.
And then there's the public reaction. Let's just say it hasn't been kind. Social media has been ablaze with commentary ranging from genuine concern to outright mockery. Some have even speculated that Sunny's outspoken nature on The View might make her an easy target for critics eager to see her brought down a peg. Others, however, are rallying behind her, arguing that she shouldn't be held accountable for her husband's alleged actions. It's a divisive issue, and one that's sure to keep people talking for weeks, if not months, to come.
And it's a very serious crime. In fact, it's one of the largest, if not the largest, RICO case in New York's history.
But the drama doesn't stop there. Enter Joe Rogan, the podcast king known for his no-holds-barred commentary. Rogan has never been shy about calling out public figures, and Sunny Hostin is no exception. In a recent episode of his podcast, Rogan didn't hold back, accusing Sunny of hypocrisy and even questioning her credibility as a commentator. He went as far as to call The View a rabies-infested henhouse, a remark that, while harsh, has only added fuel to the fire. Rogan's comments have been making the rounds online, with fans of his podcast applauding him for telling it like it is. Whether you agree with him or not, one thing's for sure. His remarks have only intensified the spotlight on Sunny and her husband.
Exactly, because if she is shaming descendants of this, will she continue to do that when she is now one of them, Dana? And it is funny. She is so wrapped up in identity, and she had no idea who she was.
So where does this leave us? For now, all eyes are on the court as the legal battle unfolds. Dr. Hostin's attorney has already come out swinging, calling the lawsuit a baseless attack by a struggling insurance company. Meanwhile, Sunny has remained relatively quiet, at least publicly, leading some to wonder what her next move will be. Will she address the allegations head on, or will she stay silent and let the legal process play out? Either way, this story is far from over. With so many moving parts and so much at stake, it's anyone's guess how it will all play out. One thing's for certain, this is a drama that's only just beginning, and it's one that's sure to keep people glued to their screens as new details emerge.
If she didn't really know what was going on, right, which is what she's probably going to say later, oh, I had no idea what my husband and his associates were doing. We'll wait and see what that is, but I think it's pretty freaking ironic.
The drama surrounding Sunny Hostin's life, both personal and professional, continues to unravel, and it's almost impossible to look away. But here's the thing. While her husband, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, battles allegations that could potentially derail his career, Sunny herself is grappling with a different kind of storm. Her role as one of the most vocal and opinionated co-hosts of The View has come under fire, with critics calling her out for what they claim is blatant hypocrisy. And honestly, when you piece it all together, it's no wonder that some are asking if Sunny's larger-than-life personality on television is now coming back to haunt her.
And what's best for the people be what's running the thing. We're letting the thing be run by the people that are in power, that are corrupt, that want to keep the power.
Now let's start with what Sunny does best, talking. For years, she's been one of the most prominent voices on The View, known for her sharp takes and willingness to address controversial topics head-on. From dissecting political scandals to calling out systemic injustice, she has built her reputation as someone who isn't afraid to speak the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. But here's where it gets tricky. Sunny's outspoken nature has also made her a magnet for criticism, especially when her statements seem to contradict her own life's circumstances. And with her husband now facing serious accusations, that contradiction is more glaring than ever.
Sunny Hostin of The View, who's constantly raging about race and reparations and how bad America is and its racial past and all this stuff.
Let's rewind to some of Sunny's most controversial moments on The View. Remember when she called out uneducated white women as a key factor in Donald Trump's election victory? She later tried to clarify, saying she meant non-college educated women, but by then, the damage was done. That comment didn't just spark backlash. It ignited a firestorm. Critics accused her of alienating an entire demographic and perpetuating stereotypes. Even some of her co-hosts pushed back, with Alyssa Farah Griffin famously snapping, "I don't think white women like being called uneducated white women." And honestly, who would? It's moments like these that have caused people to question whether Sunny's sharp tongue sometimes crosses the line. But the controversy doesn't stop there. Sunny has also been highly critical of political figures, particularly Donald Trump and his family. In one memorable episode, she speculated about Melania Trump's personal life, claiming, "I think she hates him. She doesn't want to be the first lady anymore." She She even went as far as to say that Melania might be trying to take him out by undermining his presidential campaign. While Sunny insisted she was just sharing her opinion, her remarks felt personal, almost as if she had some insider knowledge about the First Lady's private thoughts. Of course, this led to even more backlash, with critics accusing Sunny of overstepping professional boundaries and engaging in unnecessary speculation.
We haven't seen her, and her description of Donald Trump doesn't track with the reality of what we've seen. And I can't relate to the marriage or if they're even in the same place at the same time. So I don't think that's...
And here's where the irony starts to creep in. Sunny has spent years positioning herself as a champion of justice, someone who stands up for what's right and holds others accountable. Yet now, with her husband entangled in a legal scandal of his own, her critics are demanding that she hold herself to the same standard. After all, how can someone who has built their career on calling out others for their alleged failures turn a blind eye to the troubles brewing in their own backyard? It's a question that's been bubbling up on social media, with some users labeling Sunny as hypocritical and out of touch.
The delusion of saying that he has kindness in his heart. He's so mean.
Joy, she called him positive.
He's the meanest president we've ever had. And I was around when Nixon was here.
To make matters worse, Sunny's handling of her husband's situation has only added fuel to the fire. While she's remained relatively quiet compared to her usual outspoken self, the little she has said hasn't exactly helped her case. In one instance, she accused the insurance company behind the lawsuit of waging a disgusting smear campaign against her family, claiming they were using her celebrity status to poison public opinion. And while she has every right to defend her husband, some have argued that her response feels more like deflection than accountability. Instead of addressing the allegations head-on, Sunny seems to be focusing on the supposed motives of the insurance company, which only raises more questions than it answers. But what's fascinating, and let's be honest, a little ironic, is how Sunny's own words from the past are now being used against her. Take her frequent discussions about integrity and the importance of accountability. For example, on multiple occasions, she's criticized public figures for refusing to take responsibility for their actions. Yet now, with her husband facing serious allegations, some are wondering if Sunny is willing to apply those same principles to her own life. It's a classic case of practice what you preach. And for many, it feels like Sunny is falling short.
Is my impression of her real? Like, are they simpatico? Are they very similar?
I
actually spent very little time with her. I think I only met her once or twice.
Okay,
so
never mind that.
And then there's the issue of public perception. Whether fair or not, Sunny's role on The View means that she's often seen as a representative of the values she champions on the show. So when something like this happens, it's not just about her husband. It's about how she chooses to handle it. Will she take the high road and confront the situation openly, or will she continue to deflect and focus on external factors? It's a delicate balancing act, and so far, Sunny's approach has left a lot to be desired.
Today's video comes to us from sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice.
But let's not forget that Sunny isn't the only one facing scrutiny. The View as a whole has been under the microscope for years, with critics accusing the show of being overly partisan and out of touch with everyday Americans. And Sunny's controversies are just the latest chapter in a long history of public debate surrounding the show's hosts. From Joy Behar's fiery rants to Whoopi Goldberg's occasional on-air clashes, The View has never been short on drama. But Sunny's situation feels different. It's not just about an off-the-cuff remark or a heated debate. It's about real-life consequences and the potential fallout for her career. And speaking of careers, let's talk about what this could mean for Sunny moving forward. As much as she might try to separate her personal life from her professional one, the two are inevitably intertwined, especially in the world of daytime television. If the allegations against her husband gain more traction, it's not hard to imagine that Sunny could face pressure to step back from The View, at least temporarily. After all, the show thrives on its credibility, and anything that undermines that could be a major problem. On the other hand, Sunny's fans have been quick to rally behind her, arguing that she shouldn't be judged for her husband's alleged actions. It's a complicated situation, and one that's likely to get messier before it gets better.
My friend.
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living, on the backs of others.
And let's not forget the broader implications of this scandal. In many ways, it's a reflection of the challenges faced by public figures in today's hyper-connected world. With every word and action scrutinized under a microscope, it's almost impossible to separate the personal from the professional. And for someone like Sunny, who has built her brand on being outspoken and unfiltered, the stakes are even higher. Whether she likes it or not, her husband's legal troubles are now part of her narrative, and how she chooses to handle them will likely define her legacy for years to come. So, what's next for Sunny Hostin? Will she rise above the controversy and prove her critics wrong? Or will this scandal mark the beginning of the end for her time on The View? And perhaps the bigger question is, what does this mean for the show itself? Can The View continue to thrive amid yet another wave of controversy? Or is this the kind of drama that could finally push it over the edge? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more updates. See you next time.